So dear students, in this lecture we will see about classless addressing. Whatever is the subnetting and supernetting in classful addressing did not solve the address depletion problem. A larger address space was needed as a long-term solution. Then if there is a need of a larger address space, that larger address space requires that the length of IP addresses also be increased, meaning the format of IP packets need to be changed. Then IP version 6 has been devised as a long range solution. Then a short term solution was also devised to use the same address space, but to change the distribution of addresses to provide a fair share to each organization. IP version 4 addresses use short term solution and is called as classless addressing. So whatever are these ISPs, Internet Service Providers, they came into prominence in 1990s. Then what is this ISPs? It is an organization that provides internet access for individuals, small businesses and mid-size organizations that do not want to create an internet site and become involved in providing internet services for their employees. An ISP can provide these services. So, an ISP is granted a large range of addresses and then subdivides the addresses into groups of 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 and so on, giving a range of addresses to a household or a small business. The customers will be connected via a dial-up modem, DSL or cable modem to the ISP. Each customer needs some IP version for addresses. So, who are the internet authorities? In 1996, announced a new architecture called classless addressing. In this, variable length blocks are used that belong to no classes. We can have a block of one address, two addresses, four addresses, up to 128 addresses and so on. So you can see this figure is showing the variable length blocks in classless addressing. So the blocks of one address, two address, four address, so on, 128, so on. There will be variable length blocks that belong to the classes. Whatever is a whole address space that is divided into variable length blocks. So this is shown here address space. It is divided into variable length blocks which has been labeled as block 1, block 2, block I, block M-1, block M. Okay. Then in this the prefix is an address that defines the block. Prefix is an address that defines the block, which is the network, whereas suffix defines the node device. So we can have a block of 2 raised to 0, 2 raised to 1, 2 raised to 2, so on up to 2 raised to 32 addresses. Number of addresses in a block needs to be a power of 2. An organization can be granted one block of addresses. Unlike classful addressing, prefix length in classless addressing is variable. So whatever is a prefix length in classless addressing is variable. Prefix length can be that ranges from 0 to 32. Size of the network is inversely proportional to the length of the prefix. If the prefix is small, what does that mean? It means a larger network. So larger network will have a small prefix. A large prefix means a smaller network. Now, an address in class A can be thought of as a classless address in which prefix length is 8. An address in class B can be thought of as a classless address in which prefix is 16. Classful addressing is a special case of classless addressing. Now we'll say about the prefix length. If the address is given, how to find the prefix length? Since the prefix length is not inherent in the address, there is a need to separately give the length of the prefix. If the prefix length is not inherent in the address, there is a need to separately give the length of the prefix. N is denoting the prefix length added to the address separated by a slash. Separated by a So you can see this second figure is showing that prefix length added to the address separated by a slash. So how much is the length of the prefix? It is denoted by n, and that is separated by a slash. You can see a slash symbol here in this figure. Slash notation figure, you see slash n. N is a prefix length. So address separated by slash will give the length of the prefix. Notation. Slash notation in classless interdomain using a CIDR this is. So you can see how it is shown example. 12.24.76.8 slash 8. Slash 8 means length of the prefix is 8. Here 23.14.67.92 slash 12. 12 is the length of the prefix. In the third example, the prefix length is 25. Okay. Then we'll see how to extract the information from an address. Given any address in the block, we normally like to know 3 pieces of information about the block to which the address belongs. First one is first address in the block. Second one is last address. Since the value of prefix length n is given, we can easily find these 3 pieces of information. So first one is the number of addresses in the block is found as n is equal to 2 raised to 32 minus 1. So here you can see number of addresses in the block will be equal to n is equal to 2 raised to 232 minus n has been shown in this figure. The last line, n is equal to 2 raised to 32 minus 1 is the number of addresses in the block. Second, to find the first address, we keep n leftmost bits and set the 32 minus 1 rightmost bits to all zeros. Third one, to find the last address, we keep the n leftmost bits and set the 32 minus 1 rightmost bit to all zeros. So there is an example, I will tell about that. A classless address is given as 167.199.170.82/27. So we have tried everything in binary. 167, 199, 170. First address. First address, what is that? We keep the n leftmost bit and set the 32 minus n rightmost bit to all zeros. So you can see the first address can be found by keep. Okay. So example is a classless address is given as 167.199.170.82/27. We can find the above 3 pieces of information as well. The number of addresses in the network is 2 raised to 32 minus n. So 2 raised to 32 minus 27 is 2 raised to 5, which is 32 addresses. The first address can be found by keeping the first 27 bits and changing the rest of bits to zeros. So first 27 bits must be made same as it is, and remaining bits should be set to zeros. Okay. Then the last address can be found by keeping the first 27 bits and changing the rest of the bits to ones. So we have to keep the first 27 bits and changing the rest of bits to zeros, to ones. Okay. Address mask. Now we'll discuss about address mask. It is another way to find the first and last address in the block. In the block is to use the address mask. What is this address mask? Is the address mask is a 32-bit number in which the n leftmost bits are set to 1 and the rest of the bits 32 minus n are set to zeros. A computer can easily find the address mask because it is the complement of 2 raised to 32 minus n minus 1. The reason for defining a mask in this way is that it can be used by computer program to extract the information in a block using 3-bit wise operation, not and or. So first one is the number of addresses in the block n is equal to not mask plus 1. Second, the first address in the block is equal to any address in the block and mask. Third, the last address in the block is equal to any address in the block or not mask. So the example in the previous what we have taken is the AND, OR and NOT operation can be applied to individual bytes using calculator and applets at the book website. Number of addresses in the block n is equal to not mask plus 1. So 0.0.0.31 plus 1 is 32 addresses. First address and mask. So 167.199.170.82. Last address or not mask 167.199.170.255. Now we will see what is this network address. We can find all information about the block. How it is? First address is network address. It is important because it is used in routing a packet to its destination network. Now let us assume that an internet is made up of n networks and a router with m interfaces. N networks and a router with m interfaces. When a packet arrives at the router from any source, then that router needs to know to which network the packet should be sent, from which interface the packet should be sent out. Then when the packet arrives at the network, it reaches its destination host using another strategy. After the network address has been found, the router consults its forwarding table to find the corresponding interface from which the packet should be sent out. Packet should be sent out. The network address is actually the identifier of the network. Each network is identified by its network address. Now, what is this block allocation? How the blocks are allocated? Is to give a global authority called the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. ICANN does not normally allocate addresses to individual Internet users. It assigns a large block addresses to an ISP. Two restrictions need to be applied to the allocated block for proper operation of the CIDR. One, the number of requested addresses, n, needs to be a power of 2. The number of requested addresses n needs to be a power of 2. N is equal to 2 raised to 32 minus n, or n is equal to 32 minus log 2 to the base n. If n is not a power of 2, we cannot have an integer value for n. Second, the requested block needs to be allocated when there is an adequate number of contiguous addresses available in the address space. There is a restriction on choosing the first address in the block. What is that restriction on choosing the first address in the block is first address needs to be divisible by the number of addresses in the block. First address needs to be the prefix followed by 32 minus n addresses, 32 minus n number of zeros. Decimal value of the first address is then first address is equal to prefix into decimal into 2 raised to 32 minus n, which is equal to prefix into decimal into n. Now we'll see what is this network address resolution NAT. The figure of that network address resolution NAT has been shown here, the figure. Okay, whatever is the distribution of addresses through ISPs has created a new problem. That problem is an ISP has granted a small range of addresses to a small business or a household. If the business grows or the household needs a larger range, then ISP may not be able to grant the demand because the addresses before and after the range may have already been allocated to other networks. In most situations, only a portion of computers in a small network needs access to the internet simultaneously. Number of allocated addresses does not have to match the number of computers in the network. Example will take, assume that in a small business with 20 computers, the maximum number of computers that access the internet simultaneously is only 4. Then most of the computers are either doing some task that does not need internet access or communicating with each other. This small business can use the TCP/IP protocol for both internal and universal communication. The business can use 20 or 25 addresses from the private block addresses for internal communication, 5 addresses for universal communication that can be assigned by the ISP. A technology that can provide the mapping between the private and universal addresses and at the same time support virtual private networks is network address translation NAT. The technology allows a site to use a set of private addresses for internal communication and a set of global internet addresses for communication with the rest of the world. The site must have only one connection to the global internet through a NAT capable router that runs NAT software. So this figure shows a private network which uses private addresses. The router, you can see the router shown at the NAT that connects the network to the global address uses one private address and one global address. You can see address shown on either side. One private address, one global address which has been connected to the internet. The private network is invisible to the rest of the internet. Internet sees only the NAT router with the address 200.24.5.8. So rest of the internet sees only the NAT router with the address 200.24.5.8. Now we'll see address translation. Whatever is of all of the outgoing packets go through the NAT router which replaces the source address in the packet with the global NAT address. All incoming packets also pass through the NAT router which replaces the destination address in the packet with the appropriate private address. So the remaining we'll see it in next lecture.